Hey gang, and welcome back. These videos are brought to you by Card Conduit, the best place to sell your unused collection fast and easily. 401 Games, Canada's top shop for all your hobby and TCG needs. Dragon Shield, the strongest sleeves for your strongest decks. Moxfield, the easiest way to store and share your deck lists. I'd also love to draw your attention to the Mark Pool Playmat Collection. This Kickstarter campaign launched on February 3rd and runs until March 10th. These premium stitched edge playmats feature some iconic extended artwork, including Birds of Paradise, Counterspell, and everyone's favorite Sol Ring. You can also help out by voting to help pick for the next rounds of cards, including City of Brass, Sylvan Library, and Ugin's Labyrinth. Each of these playmats will be hand-signed and numbered by Mark Poole himself. So don't wait, and use my affiliate link down below to let them know I sent you, and back your favorite playmat today. Chris wins the die roll, starting us off. He draws, and plays a Shatterskull Smashing as the land side, Shatterskull the Hammer Pass, and he has it come in tapped. Kuzno draws, and plays a Swamp. Desmond's got a Commercial District which also comes in tapped, and he surveils 1. Josh just plays an Underground River. Chris has a Bojuka Bog, and exiles no one's graveyard. And then cycles Forgotten Cave, drawing a card. Kuzno draws and plays a Forest. Desmond's land for turn is a Stomping Ground, and he takes 2 to have it come in untapped, before casting a Rampant Growth. Josh has got an island, and casts Talisman of Progress. Chris plays a Swamp, and casts Black Market Connections. Kuzno's land for turn is a Gloom Lake Verge, and he then casts a Formidable Speaker. He discards a Golgari Charm, and tutors for a Layla Cunning Conqueror, putting her to hand, and then passing turn. Desmond plays a Windswept Heath, and then casts Ashling. He sacrifices the fetch land, going to find an Indatha Triome, and passes. Josh has got a Swamp, and casts Monologue Tax. Chris draws for turn, and pays the full 6 life into Black Market Connections as he should, drawing a card, making a treasure, and making a Shapeshifter. He then plays Urborg' land for turn, and he casts Bogart Mischief. He blights onto the Shapeshifter as it comes in, and he makes 2 Goblin tokens, and then passes turn. Kuzno's got a Choked Estuary, revealing an island so it comes in untapped, and passes. Desmond plays a Plains, and then casts Roaming Throne, naming Elemental as it comes in. Josh has got an island, and he quickly casts Imprisoned in the Moon on the Roaming Throne, paying for the ward cost. He then passes, and during the end step, Chris casts Cathartic Pyre, discarding a card and drawing a card. Chris draws, paying another 6 life into Black Market Connections to do all of the modes. He then plays Midgar, which comes in tapped, and he casts Sol Ring. He then casts a Spawn Gang Commander. On cast, he gets to make 2 Eldrazi Spawn token, and Josh gets to make a treasure token thanks to Monologue Tax. And Chris then continues by sacrificing 1 of the spawn to help cast an off-nabbed Goat. He then goes to combat, and swings 2 Goblin tokens at Kuzno. Kuzno blocks 1 of them, but takes the hit from the other one, and the Bogart Mischief drains each opponent for 1 as the token hits the graveyard. After that, Chris passes, and Kuzno flashes in High Fae Trickster. Kuzno just plays an island, and ships it, since he has flash for other people's turns. Desmond plays a Plains, and he casts Muldrotha, and passes. Josh just plays a Swamp, and plays a Mana Rock with Felwar Stone. Chris draws and continues to pay 6 life into Black Market Connections, having done 18 to himself at this point. He then casts Grub, and as his commander comes in, has a returning the Bogart Trawler to his hand. Chris then continues by casting Faithless Looting, drawing 2, and discarding 2. He plays a Command Tower as his land for turn. Going to combat, Chris swings a Goblin token at Desmond, and the 2/1 Shapeshifter at Josh, and the 3/2 Shapeshifter at Kuzno. Desmond blocks the Goblin with Ashling, and the table gets drained for 1 as it hits the graveyard, while Kuzno and Josh just take the hits. Chris then passes, and during the end step, Kuzno flashes in Maralen. He exiles the top 2 off of Josh as she comes in. He doesn't hit a castable spell though, and just moves to his turn. Kuzno draws, plays Cavern of Souls naming fairies, and passes to Desmond. Desmond's turn has him playing a mountain, and he then evokes out a Shimmer Creep. And as it comes in, Desmond has Vivid 4, draining the table for 4 and gaining 4. He then sacrifices it as part of the evoke cost, making a token copy with Ashling, and drains the table again for 4. Desmond then follows up by casting Birthing Pod. He then moves to combat, and swings the hasty Shimmer Creeper at Josh, dealing 3. In his second main phase, he then sacrifices the Shimmer Creep token to the Birthing Pod, and he goes to find Lamentation. He targets the High Fae Trickster to try and take it out as it comes in, and Kuzno responds to this, flashing in Malleable Imposter as a copy of Lamentation. Maralen exiles the top 2 off Desmond's library, which reveals nothing castable though. And Kuzno's Lamentation then destroys Muldrotha, gaining him 3 life. The High Fae Trickster is then destroyed as well, gaining Desmond 3 life, and he ships it after that. Josh's turn has him drawing, and then casting his commander, the Master of Keys, putting 4 into the X. He then mills 8, and passes to Chris. Chris draws and breaks from the mold, paying only 2 life into Black Market Connections, drawing again. He then pays a red to flip Grub in his main phase, and he then casts Jessica's Will and targets Josh. This has Chris exiling Swamp, Snuff Out, and Cathartic Reunion, plus makes 4 red mana. He uses 2 of it to help cast Thrill of Possibility, discarding a card and drawing 2. He then uses the remaining 2 to cast Cathartic Reunion, discarding more and drawing more. Chris then continues by casting Siege Gang Lieutenant, and he goes to combat. As his commander's out, the Lieutenant makes him 2 Goblin tokens with haste, and he then swings Grub at Josh, and 2 Shapeshifters at Desmond. On attack, Grub blights onto the off-nabbed Goat, and he makes a Goat token that goes at Kuzno. Desmond blocks a Shapeshifter, while Josh just takes the hit from Grub, while Kuzno takes 0 because the Goat has 0 power. Chris then moves to sacrifice the Goat in his end step, but since it has no counters on it, it does nothing. Kuzno draws, playing out a Swamp, and casting a Layla, Cunning Conqueror, that he tutored for earlier. As she comes in, he exiles 2 more lands off of Desmond. He then goes to combat and swings Maralen at Desmond for 4. After that, Kuzno passes turn. Desmond draws and sacrifices Ashling to Birthing Pod. He makes a copy of Ashling, which it does work, and that's kinda weird, and the pod gets a Foundation Breaker, destroying the Imprisoned in the Moon. With his Roaming Throne back, he then passes. And in his end step, he pays the Wooburg mana to keep Ashling around. Josh's land for turn is in Adakar Wastes, and he casts Sheltered by Ghosts, and enchants it onto the Master of Keys. He hits the Roaming Throne, paying the ward cost again, and then escapes from his graveyard Imprisoned in the Moon, and puts it onto Maralen. Josh then passes turn. Chris draws and pays 2 life again to draw yet again, thanks to the Black Market Connections. His main phase has him paying a black to flip Grub back, and brings back the Bogart Trawler. He then casts the Bogart Trawler, and as it comes in, exiles Josh's graveyard. He then follows up with Phyrexian Altar. Chris sacrifices the Spawn Gang commander to the altar, and then the Bogart Trawler. And he uses the mana to cast Diabolic Intent, sacrificing his Goat. This drains the table for 1 and draws Chris a card, and he then goes to find a card. Chris then continues by casting Bogart Cursecrafter, and he moves to combat. He makes 2 more Goblin tokens off the Siege Gang Lieutenant, and declares no attackers, moving to a second main phase. He then sacrifices 4 Goblin tokens in his post-combat main phase, which because of the Bogart Mischief and the Bogart Cursecatcher, deals 8 to his opponents and gains him 4. He then sacrifices the Eldrazi Spawn for Colorless to help cast a Mogg War Marshal. It enters, making a Goblin token, and Chris then sacrifices the War Marshal, draining the table for 2 again, plus making a Goblin token as it hits the yard. Chris then continues by sacrificing his Siege Gang Lieutenant, and with the damage triggers on the stack, Josh flashes in Dress Down. Chris responds to this though by sacrificing his 3 Changelings and Grub, and drains the table for 8, taking out both Josh and Kuzno. He then sacrifices his Curse Catcher and remaining tokens. He uses his floating mana to cast Living Death, and both Chris and Desmond swap their creatures for their graveyard for those on the field. Because the non-active player triggers will go off first, Desmond's Shimmer Creep is on the stack. But responding to it, Chris has more than enough goblins to sacrifice to take out Desmond and wins the game. Game review time. So I'm gonna be honest, Goblin Aristocrats has got me feeling something. I'll say that the Bogart Mischief is probably the strongest card this game, just so that I gave Chris some life back after he spent so much of it in Black Market Connections, and it's just a great enchantment, plus it's Kindred. You're probably wondering why Ashling was targeted so much, and that's because the game before this one, Desmond had basically run rampant with Roman Throne and Ashling to the tune of having something like 10 Solitudes out in one go because of it. As a result, the table was understandably terrified of seeing Roaming Throne, and it's why it ate so much of the removal that was available. This video wouldn't be possible without the help from my sponsors, but it definitely wouldn't be possible without the help from you, the viewers, and my patrons. So I just want to say thank you for watching, and to remember, friends are just opponents you haven't eliminated yet.